Ideas come from curiosity. Walt Disney. This quote's very strong because I guess in my theory, ideas do come from curiosity. This quote is very powerful and very relative to me because usually when I'm designing, I usually try things over and over again because of curiosity. I usually end up doing things over 10 times just because I'm curious, trying to try new things, see what works best, things like that. And I think that's the most effective way to do designing. So with that all being said, curiosity is a very powerful thing. It all comes from your mind. If you're curious as to what a tool does, you go right ahead and try that tool out. Because if you never try it, you'll never know what it does. And if you're just looking up tutorials on YouTube and things like that, that's all fine and good and whatever, but it's good to try things out yourself, because then it gets stuck in your mind, gets stuck in your head, and then you come to realize what the tool really does. Then it will help you remember it easier. I mean, yes, YouTube tutorials and things like that, they all work, they're all fine and good. Watch those up because they really did help me as well. But what this quote is trying to say is your ideas will come from curiosity. This is what I usually go by because when I'm doing my designs, I don't really have an idea going into the design process. Usually it comes after, just because I'm curious, I guess. I try out things, see what some things look like, see what others look like, and then eventually a design sort of comes together. So I don't really have an idea at the beginning, but as my curiosity, I guess, gets stronger, things like that, I sort of come to realize what I'm doing maybe halfway through the design process. Maybe even I spend an hour just fiddling around with different tools and different shapes, and then eventually something comes together, and it definitely is a good quote to go by because I guess it's good if you have an idea going straight in there, but it's not going to be an original idea. It's going to be very hard establishing your own theme and things like that unless you play around with the tools in the program, do things like that. It's really easy. All you got to do is just play around with the tools over and over again. Eventually you'll establish your own theme, your own sort of style, and ideas will get easier and easier. That's why this quote is very good, because the curiosity is key. Now, I'm not really good with these motivational things, but I would like to show you what I did in the past, like maybe one of my first pieces, and I'm just going to find that real quick and I'll be back. Alright guys, so I guess I'll start at the very beginning when I first started. This was the website that I've made, and it's actually still up, and I don't really know the password and stuff to get it down, but as you can see right here, this is I really don't like going back and looking at all this stuff because it's kind of embarrassing, but it's really not the greatest stuff. But as you can see, this was my own style, I've never seen this before. I mean, it's not maybe not the greatest style, but it's definitely, I guess, for the moment was my own style, and I liked it. It was actually something I really enjoyed doing. This was some free stuff I did for my friends for some YouTube. This was my name on YouTube. I don't like looking at it now because it was good at the time, but it's not really good at the moment. I'm doing so much better stuff right now. And yeah, so this was I guess this was my first work ever, this logo, and this was actually a tutorial that I watched off of YouTube, which is not the greatest. This one I did on my own. This was for a YouTube sort of thing I had going with my friends. It was not good. I really don't like looking back at this kind of stuff, but anyways guys, this is what I've been doing. This was what I was doing back then, and I actually have a folder that I have made of all my stuff here. This is as I was starting to get into the esports community. This was a logo I made in Photoshop. I honestly don't mind it, but the presentation was not the greatest. Either way, it's a logo. The customer was actually pretty satisfied, which I'm really surprised. I honestly am really surprised. And let's go to the next one. This is just text that I put in Photoshop, which is, I mean, it's okay, but not the greatest either. And me and my friends then started up a gaming team called APOC Gaming. And that logo right in the middle there was the logo that I made for APOC Gaming. And I was actually really pleased with this because I started using Adobe Illustrator. This controller design, not necessarily, I wasn't really pleased with this, but the logo definitely I was pleased with. Like, here it is right here. I use Adobe Illustrator. Of course, I didn't know how to use stroke in Illustrator, so I brought it into Photoshop and put a stroke on there. I mean, there's a lot of tweaks that could be done, but really, I just kept going, man. I actually had a tough time making this logo, and honestly, I tried tons of different things to try to come up with a nice AG logo. And I mean, I didn't have an idea of what I was gonna do when I first went into this design process, and then eventually it hit me. I kind of wanted to make a diamond type logo, and I started putting together some shapes, and then eventually it came together, guys. Really, curiosity is definitely the key to design. I think it's a great quote to go by. Once again, it's what I go by every single time I go into a design. I don't really have an idea of what I'm gonna do, and then as I start designing things, as I start putting things together, it just comes. Like, it's really great. And let's go to the next one. Things start to get a little better. This is still not the greatest thing. This is WJ graphics still, which is okay, but I mean, could be better, I guess. And then I got into these cool looking AVIs. These were my style. This was like my type design. I really enjoyed doing these, and people actually really enjoyed getting these from me. These were like a sort of a signature thing that I had going. I have this one, and I also have APOC Warrior, which is this one. And then if you go on, this is a different type, but it's not the greatest. You go to this one, another stupid watermark that I put on it. I have no clue why. And then you get into these ones, which were the same style as the Phoenix and Warrior ones. These were my style, guys. This is what I established back then was going to be my style for AVIs, and I really enjoyed doing them. And if you go to the next one, APOC Snipes, this was me actually in the team, but honestly, looking back at this, I don't remember how I did this at all. I don't really like using this style anymore because it's not professional looking. I'm more into the photo manipulation, photography, things like that. That's a little bit more, mature. I'm kind of out of the esports stuff now. I don't really like doing this kind of stuff. But it was my style back then, and I enjoyed it. Actually, this was the most recent one. I'm not saying it's any close to being like recent, but this was the latest one that I did. I have to say like 2 or 3 years ago, to be honest with you. And I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. And then this was my first 3D render I've ever done, like in my life, and I thought it came out really good. Looks really nice. Here's another logo that looked really bad, but this was actually my first order that I got with Ruthless GFX, and it was, I believe, an $85 order, and this is what I gave him. I kind of feel bad for that guy because it really could have been better, but either way, it's not too bad. I enjoyed doing it. As I said, I guess I could have used another quote here, but enjoy what you do, because if you don't enjoy what you do, then it's not going to be fun for you, and you're not going to have any motivation to do it. But with that being said, if you do enjoy what you do, it's going to be very easy. You're never going to have to work a day in your life because you're going to enjoy what you're doing. It's going to be fun for you. And yeah, and this is actually my second logo I did with Ruthless GFX, and I actually don't mind it. It looks pretty nice. I did this in Photoshop though, which is not the greatest. But either way, stick to what you're doing, play around with some tools, get to know the program, be curious, guys. Just honestly be curious, play around with the tools in the program, mess around with the shapes, do whatever you would like. That is key to design. Now I'm going to show you some previous artwork that I've done, which is my most recent work. I'm going to go to my website actually to show you this. So this is my new website. It's jacobwalter.ca. I'll leave a link in the description. This is my recent work, and as you can see, it's a lot more clean, a lot more professional looking. This is actually a magazine cover that I did for school. I think it came out wonderful. It actually looks really great. I got 99% on that project. The 1% was lost to a print error. It was my bad. I probably should have looked over it before I printed it out. But either way, looks nice. I've actually started using mock-ups to display my logos, which is another professional looking thing. This is a poster design. As you can see, my 3D work is a lot more clean, a lot more professional looking rather than the other 3D render that I showed you. So you definitely come along, guys. If you're just starting out, if you're just a starting out designer, please stick to it if you enjoy it, because it really, really makes a difference. I've been doing this for 4 to 5 years. You know, my first year was a little bit rough, but I guess it was a little bit easier than Matt because my friends didn't really have a clue what the whole design process was and what it took. So I kind of got past doing anything really because they were just happy to have some designs. But now I guess Matt has it a little bit harder because he's got me, who's been designing for 4 years, to sort of help critique his work, which is not a bad thing. It's just a little bit harder for him because as you're starting out, you're not 100% yet, as I said. If you got people telling you your work's bad, keep working at it, man. You will definitely get there. I got there, and we all will. Alright, back to my homepage. I started getting into these photo manipulations right here. And this is a soccer photo manipulation. I really enjoy doing this. It shows a little bit of step-by-step how I did it. This is just the base. This is just the lighting, and this is the final product. As I said, you definitely start to learn the program a little bit better as you go on. You start to know a little bit more techniques. You just gain general knowledge on how to do this kind of stuff, and you get better. It definitely gets better. Just keep that in mind, guys. If you're a starting out designer, please keep at it if it's what you like to do, because you will get there. Trust me, it's what I had to do. I had to push through it. If someone told me my work was bad, I just pushed right through it. You know, yes, I felt a little bad about myself because people were saying my work was bad, but you definitely have to push through that. I mean, it was a little bit different for me because I guess when I started, we were in grade 7, and I was, I don't know how old I was, 13 or 12, and I was a little kid, man. I kind of took things a little bit personally. If someone told me my work was bad, I kind of got upset, and it just gave me that motivation to keep pushing and make my work better. So if you're a starting out designer, keep pushing through things. You'll definitely get there. It's a really great thing if you enjoy doing it. I definitely suggest you go by this quote.